Well, I feel like with the Boise State wrestling program, we just don't have a lot of answers as to why the program was cut. And when we tried to talk to the president who just retired a year after cutting the program, we tried to sit down and just say, hey, is there something that we can do on our end? Can we raise the funds? Can we take this program on and just not ask really anything for the school except to just allow us to have it?
It was a team that we had a lot of good recruits. We had a lot of good things going on, and you know, Bob Kustra, the president, was here then too, and every year at the beginning of the luncheon for all the athletes, he always got up there and he always took pride in, you know, we're Bronco pride, and we're not going to cut programs. We will add programs before we cut them. Those are his exact words.
And he wouldn't even sit down to hear us out. It was just that the program was cut, it was done, it was final, and baseball was coming in. And I think that we could have come to a better resolve than just having the program cut. You know, it feels like the carpet was just pulled out from everyone's feet, and it's not a really fair way to do things.
It's a shame that there's only one Division I school in all Northwest, and that's Oregon State. So that means everyone in Idaho, Washington, and Oregon only has one Division I school to wrestle at. And then, you know, there's Southern Oregon, and then, you know, Eastern Oregon, which, you know, are NAIA programs. But just the opportunity, like I said, it's very successful seasons. You know, and when I was competing from 2006 to 2011, Boise State was the team to beat on the West Coast.
So right here, I mean, you can obviously see it's like just the wrestlers, the NCAA Division I wrestlers goes back from the 60s, 63, you know, and we've got, you know, tons of, you compare that to, you know, the footballs, it's exactly the same, you know, if not a little bit more, you know. So for Bob Kustra to say that we never had a successful program, Boise State Wrestling is actually the most successful program at Boise State.
I love wrestling, so I wanted to be involved in saving this program. I feel like all the wrestling college programs seem to be struggling, and a lot of them have gotten cut over the past few years. And I want to see the Boise State wrestling program be successful and come back. And they were already having a very successful wrestling program, and it doesn't cost that much. I think it's very feasible that we can make it work.
I think with this platform, especially with the UFC helping, we just need to get the awareness out, and like people need to know what happened, and that if we can self-fund it, and then we like there's options. He just couldn't come to the table and sit down and talk about it. He was just like, no, that's it. It's my bias, and like let's talk about it. Let's try to raise some money. Let's try to self-fund.
If an administration comes in and is willing to listen, I think there's enough support, there's enough people in this valley, in this Northwest, even across the country, that would come and say, hey, look, here's what we can offer, here's what we can do, here's how we can make it a win-win. I'd say probably 99% of the people that I've talked with, they want baseball. They're like, yeah, let's, you know, that's great, let's give more opportunities to people, but let's not make it a wrestling versus baseball. Let's not make it a wrestling versus this or a different sport. Again, it's about opportunities for these kids, serving the people. That's what these administrators I think forget sometimes, is serving the public. It's a state institution.
I think wrestling saves lives. I really do, and I think at the very least it changes lives for the better. I know it changed mine for the better. I would not be the former UFC world champion had I not wrestled, and I definitely wouldn't have done mixed martial arts had I not wrestled. And I found out just how tough I was because of wrestling. That's really what changed my character and made me realize that I can do anything, and especially if I put my mind to it, and physically that I'm capable, that I'm a strong and empowered woman. So I think wrestling has a lot to offer, and I wish that everyone would spend at least 1 year wrestling. I just think it changes your whole perspective on what you're capable of.